What that plane?
That's a little
Putt-putt?
person, yeah. Itty bitty plane.
They're busy, aren't they?
Man, I'm kind of worried about my son's dad.
What's up with him?
He got deployed to Libya
Man,
last
it's
Thursday,
just...
and I haven't heard nothing from him.
That's pretty scary shit that's happening.
I'm
They hate us. They hate us. They want us out. It's not over some stupid movie. The media acts like it is, but it's all over. We're killing them with our drones and shit. They want our asses out of there.
They want us out, and they
I
just
can't
sent,
blame
like,
them.
more in, you know.
Spraying the hell out of us. Crazy. They're really blasting us.
Oh, look, they're making cirrus clouds.
Uh-huh. Isn't that neat?
What fun.
Bastards.
Oh.
Taking my water.
Alright, I'll see you soon.
Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, they're doing it again, aren't they?
Been cremating us for 3 days now.
She'll tell you.
Do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you those aren't contrails.
Don't tell me they're coming here.
No, because my car is parked right by the ambulance thing. Check that. There's white cloudy lady. Crazy. And spraying the heck out of us all day long. I can't believe the waves in that. It sure looks to me like they're using frequencies to stimulate that. You can see the waves. There's one spraying right there. Okay, I'll go back in. I'm at work taking the trash out. Thought I'd get a quick shot of that.
Please remember the world that you are now seeing, for this natural world is in jeopardy, and even if you are willing to help put an end to what you are about to see, you may never be able to see the world in the same way again. In the early part of 1999, an immense operation began, an operation using aircraft that many of us will find difficult to accept. This operation involves a dispersal of massive amounts of fine materials into the atmosphere, and the implications of these actions are grave and far-reaching, and they strain the limits of understanding. There will be counterclaims to the evidence that is presented within this film, and you will be told that all is normal and as it should be. You will be told that there is nothing to be concerned about, and that all is as it has always been. Your eyewitness accounts will be dismissed as unreliable. This dismissal by claimed authorities and officials will be in direct contradiction to fundamental physical principles and your own common sense, but you will encounter it nonetheless. This dismissal now spans a time period of more than 5 years, and it accompanies a grassroots awareness that has been reached by millions of concerned and engaged citizens. From this point on, I urge you to use your own mind to reach your own conclusions on the truth of the matter. What you are seeing now is quite normal. These contrails are the trademark of high-altitude aircraft since the close of World War II. You notice that the condensation disappears fairly quickly, much like your breath on a cold winter day. This is as it should be, and as it has been. For those curious enough to delve into the physics, chemistry, and thermodynamics of contrails, this normalcy has a more thorough explanation. Yes, science and common sense do agree, and the balances of nature are achieved with this common phenomenon. And now we must take a different turn, a turn to explore an unusual world that now surrounds us, and yet a world that many of us remain unaware of. The atmosphere of this planet has been changed, and you are now being introduced to one of the main causes of that change. The aircraft at the upper portion of the screen is leaving a normal contrail, and it vanishes as any trail of water vapor is expected to. But beneath it you see an aircraft emission that is stationary, thick, continuous, and persistent, and it must eventually be concluded that it is not primarily water vapor. The environmental conditions for each trail are not exceptionally different from one another, and yet the result and impact from each trail is entirely different. The only logical way this can occur is if the trails themselves are very different from one another, and indeed they are. The majority of the footage that you are now seeing has been filmed in the high desert regions of New Mexico. This is an arid environment, with very low humidity levels. It is, in fact, a classic region for conventional contrail formation. Contrails themselves can and do form easily in a low humidity environment. In the past, the passing of a short-lived contrail in the high, clear desert sky was an innocuous and frequent occurrence. Cold and dry conditions, exactly those conditions that are normally found in the upper atmosphere, are extremely favorable to contrail formation. The humidity levels of the upper atmosphere are actually relatively low, and is one of the very reasons that most clouds occur in the middle of the troposphere, being the lower portion of our atmosphere up to an altitude of approximately 7 miles or so. As this examination of our atmosphere continues, we will be now required to consider 4 types of events or phenomena. In addition to the customary existence of clouds and contrails, we must now consider a new entry, that of the aerosol. An aerosol is a solid particle in suspension, either in a liquid or a gas, and in this case we are considering the atmosphere as the gas to study. The aerosols will manifest in 2 primary forms, as an aerosol emission from aircraft and as an aggregate or collection of aerosols in the atmosphere. A suitable term for this collection of aerosols is an aerosol bank. It is known now that the persistent trails that form the subject of this film are primarily solid in nature and origin, and that they are not predominantly water vapor. A brief explanation of cloud formation will help us to understand why this is so. Clouds, that is, normal clouds, require 2 fundamental elements to form, particles and moisture. Clouds are not suited to form in especially clean air. They require particulate matter, called condensation nuclei, that act as a base for water vapor to adhere to. The size of these nuclei, for the process to be effective, must be extremely small. The size of these nuclei are on the order of sub-micron. For comparison, a human hair is 60 to 100 microns thick, and an asbestos fiber is a couple of microns in thickness. The other essential component for normal clouds to form is a minimum level of humidity. From numerous sources, this minimum is on the order of 70% relative humidity. Notice that the requirements for cloud formation and contrail formation are already entirely different from one another. This is because they are entirely different phenomena based upon entirely different physical principles. Contrails can and should form readily in clean, cold, and dry air. Normal clouds, on the other hand, require higher moisture levels and a particulate or aerosol base from which to develop. The radical transformation of our sky as a direct result of aircraft activity now forces us to address an entirely new set of conditions. Aircraft are now repeatedly dispersing materials into the upper atmosphere at flight altitude, roughly from 35,000 to 40,000 feet. These materials expand rather than evaporate, and they usually transform into an unsightful haze that over the recent years has decreased our general visibility down to ground levels. One of the remarkable facts is that this commonly now occurs at very low levels of relative humidity, on the order of 30 to 40%, instead of the 70% or greater that is associated with cloud formation. And so we know now that these are not clouds in any conventional sense. They are indeed a unique
shit that's happening. They hate us. They hate us. They want us out. It's not over some stupid movie. The media acts like it is, but it's all over. We're killing them with our drones and shit. They want our asses out of there.
They want us out, and they
I
just
can't
sent,
blame
like,
them.
more in, you know.
Spraying the hell out of us. what are that plane?
That's a little
Putt-putt?
person, yeah. Itty bitty plane.
They're busy, aren't they?
Man, I'm kind of worried about my son's dad.
What's up with him?
He got deployed to Libya
Man,
last
it's
Thursday,
just,
and I haven't heard nothing from him.
that's pretty scary. Wow. Alright, I'll see you soon.
Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, they're doing it again, aren't they?
Crazy. They're really blasting us.
Oh, look, they're making cirrus clouds.
Uh-huh. Isn't that neat?
What fun.
Bastards.
Oh.
Taking my water.